What's up, guys? It's Dan from Coin Bureau Trading, back at it again with another crypto market update. Today, we're going to take a look at what exactly is going on in the crypto market. Is the bull market over? All that kind of stuff. Spoiler alert, the crypto bull market is not over. We're just having another drop to these key levels, which is really freaking everyone out. I'll show you guys exactly what I mean in just a moment. If this is the kind of content that you enjoy, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ping that notification bell. And before we get started, guys, do keep in mind that nothing in this video is financial advice. This is my personal analysis of the crypto market. Your analysis could be different, and if it is, that's awesome, because the more difference of opinion we have, the better traders, the better investors we're all going to become. So jumping straight into it here, guys, what you're looking at here is the total crypto market cap on the weekly. So I want you to just take a look at this recent price action we've seen. Of course, there's been quite a big drop, let's say, since December. But just take a look at this graph on the long term, on this chart on the long term, and just ask yourself: does this look like a bear market? No, it does not look like a bear market. It looks like a bull market, and it looks like a pretty standard correction, which again feels a lot more painful if you're holding altcoins compared to Bitcoin. I'll get to that in just a second. But before I do, I just really want to point out that again, in terms of the total crypto market cap, the value of all cryptos combined, nothing here is out of the ordinary. This is actually completely normal. And you could make the argument that what we're seeing now is kind of like something that's, something similar to what we saw here in early 2021 with these kind of pullbacks on the way up in the previous cycle. So of course, you can see that there's this kind of big cup and handle formation forming between previous tops, let's say, between the previous top. And then once that's broken, then you see a big move to the upside. We're kind of in the early stages of that. Of course, history doesn't repeat exactly, but it does rhyme. So we are seeing something like, somewhere in this initial stages of the 2021 rally is the equivalent to what we're seeing now. And you might say, okay, well, I don't feel this for altcoins. Of course, altcoins have been going down and going lower. And this is where I guess the first thing that's really important to note is that historically altcoins tend to rally in the final phases of that bull market, like in that final blow off top phase. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by that. But first, let's take a closer look here at altcoins. So of course, by this point, most of you will know that this is a chart of others, which basically takes all the altcoins outside of the top 10 by market cap. I know it's technically like the top 150 altcoins or something like that, but point being is that this kind of gives us a view of what the average altcoin has been doing. And whereas the total crypto market cap, is already kind of broken out, we can see quite clearly that altcoins as a whole, they've still been chopping. Why does it feel so brutal? Mainly, guys, because altcoins have actually, it's like the first time they've seen 4 months of drawdown since the 2018 crypto bear market. And of course, this is why you have so many people saying it feels like a bear market, it feels like a bear market, because we've basically seen 4 months of down-only price action for most altcoins, with most altcoins being down on average between 50 and 60%. For some altcoins, it's slightly less. For some altcoins, it's slightly more, but somewhere in that 50-60% range. Again, a drawdown that's taken place over 4 months, and this is why everyone is angry and frustrated, and they think it's over. But again, in terms of what we're seeing here, in terms of the cycle, in terms of the trend lines, again, the crypto market as a whole is still in a bull market. So that's one thing to keep in mind. Altcoins, of course, have been lagging behind. But again, it's typical for altcoins to see their biggest gains in the final months, in that final phase of the cycle, which I guess, in case it wasn't clear enough, is going to come either sometime over the summer or sometime in the fall. Because again, based on the total crypto market cap, the current cycle is still intact, which means that we're either going to see a cycle top again sometime over the summer or sometime in the fall. And in those final months, like those final 3 or 4 months, is when we're going to see the biggest gains for altcoins. And until then, altcoins are probably going to continue to chop. But the kind of silver lining is we're at the bottom level of this range. Again, this is something I explained in other videos, is that yes, some altcoins are chopping at a lower range, other altcoins are chopping at a higher range. But the point is that altcoins are chopping in a range. And it looks like they might chop, let's say for another few weeks before they break out of this range and continue heading higher, catching up to Bitcoin, so to speak. And to really drive the point home, I want to take a look at, this is Ethereum in the 2017 cycle. And you can see that similarly to what we're seeing now, is that Ethereum was kind of consolidating. Of course, right now in the current case, Ethereum is kind of, struggling a little bit more, let's say. So you could say that maybe this price action that we saw here back in the summer of 2017, maybe it would be something that's like with the prices being a little bit lower. But the point is that Ethereum was chopping in a range for, months and months and months, and then eventually it broke out and literally just over, this period, whatever it is, 3 months, we're on the weekly chart here, but within this 3 month period, you saw Ethereum just absolutely explode and like triple or quadruple, right? And we can use another example here, which is Theta. It was actually crypto that I did pretty well on in the last crypto bull market. You can see that between December of 2020 and then in March of 2021, it went up basically by 200x. So within the span again of like 3 or 4 months, you saw a massive move. And in this case, you could say, okay, well, this initial pump maybe didn't materialize. Everyone is freaking out because they didn't get like this initial pump. Same thing here, like with Ethereum, everyone's freaking out because the range in which altcoins are chopping, it's a lower range than what we've seen in prior cycles, if that makes any sense. Like here with Ethereum, it was chopping a little bit higher. Here with Theta, it was also chopping a little bit higher. Altcoins in general were chopping a little bit higher. But because we didn't get this initial move higher in this chop, everyone thinks that this second part of the move is not coming. But again, there's just no evidence to support that yet. We're still too early. It's still too early to say that altcoins are dead and this is all over. For all we know, and honestly, my personal opinion is that because we didn't get this initial move, that means that this second kind of wave higher, this whatever it is, the 3 or 4 months rally is going to be even bigger. And again, my personal base case is that it will happen sometime over the summer, but of course we're going to have to wait and see. But again, key takeaway being crypto as a whole is still in a bull market, which means that nothing's been invalidated. The reason it feels like that is because we've seen so much bleeding in altcoins, literally an amount of bleeding that we have not seen since the 2018 crypto bear market. But again, we can see quite clearly that we're not in a bear market when we look at the total crypto market cap, which suggests that in accordance with what we see on the analysis here, that altcoins are just chopping in a range. Eventually they're going to finish chopping out of that range and they're going to catch up kind of to Bitcoin and see that explosive growth, which again comes over the period of just like let's say 3 or 4 months, which again is expected sometime either in the summer or in the fall, depending on whose analysis you follow. My personal opinion is that it will be sometime over the summer. Anyways, guys, as you might have noticed there with Theta, we were using Binance. We have up to 20% trading fee discounts there with up to $600 in bonuses. I know that doesn't sound like a lot, but those trading fee discounts do add up. Even if you're just trading with a few hundred or a few $1,000s, I know from experience that those fees will add up. So taking advantage of those trading fee discounts really helps. It doesn't cost you a thing. The exchange gets a new user, you get a trading fee discount, and we get a cut of your trading fees. That's how the Coin Bureau makes its money. If you're not a fan of Binance, you can check out all these other deals we have on other exchanges using the link in the description. Anyways, guys, so of course, why is crypto crashing, I guess, is probably the next question on everyone's mind, and what's going to happen. Of course, the answer is macro. All these fears around tariffs and things like that have had people concerned, and we can see this quite clearly here on the S&P 500. This is on a daily chart. Of course, this is a trend line that I just drew here. It's quite clear to me that I do think that that stocks have bottomed here somewhere around 5,700. Could they continue rolling over? Always possible. But again, based on my analysis and the analysis of many other technical analysts who are much better than I am, they're all eyeing 5,700 as a bottom. And even even if the stock market continues rolling over, then we would probably see some kind of like a recovery rally back up to 6,000 at the minimum, right? Like kind of like because nothing goes down only. We always see kind of like these reflexive rallies on the way down. So if there is a downtrend that's starting, then there would still be a pretty big reflexive rally from this level, given how much stocks have fallen. And of course, in case it wasn't clear enough, crypto is very highly correlated to the stock market, especially Bitcoin with the spot Bitcoin ETFs, right? So regardless of what happens, like if you really are panicking and you think it's over and you're convinced it's over, then, at least keep in mind that chances are over the next week or two, we're going to see some sort of recovery rally because nothing goes down only. So don't be surprised if this week or next week we see a recovery rally. I do think that's something that's going to materialize into a bigger rally in stocks to new all-time highs, in crypto to new all-time highs with a blow off top over the summer. But again, taking things one step at a time here, the key takeaway in the short term is that we're probably going to see a recovery or relief rally, whatever you want to call it, in stocks over the next week or two, and that should also translate to a relief rally in crypto over the next week or two. And of course, this is where things get interesting. Something I would normally keep for the end of the video, but it's something I do want to point out, is that interest rates have been falling, which of course is a little bit of a bullish tailwind for assets. And of course, with interest rates falling, a lot of people are concerned. Well, interest rates are falling, which suggests that we're heading into a recession, because every single last time over the last, let's say, 25 years, that interest rates fell, we would enter a recession. To be honest, I do think that we will get a recession towards the end of the year, but or at least early signs of that. But in the short term, I actually don't think that's happening, and this for the simple reason that we can see that the Fed has been very sensitive to any kind of deterioration of economic data. Like the Fed has already cut rates by a single, or I guess a whole percentage point, 100 basis points, whatever term you want to use. And as you can see, guys, here, like again, why did the Fed cut interest rates by half a percentage point in September? It was because they were concerned about the labor market. They cut interest rates again. I think it was in November and then in December. So why was the Fed cutting interest rates during that period? Some people might say it was because they were trying to help Biden out and pump the markets or whatever. But from my perspective, it's quite clear that the Fed, they don't want to end up with a scenario like this where they're having to panic cut into a recession. They want to cut in advance to ensure that there's no scenario like that, right? Because it doesn't really help, and it kind of results in excess money printing and all this type of stuff. But I guess in this case, the key takeaway is that people see interest rates falling. They think that means a recession is coming and that asset prices are heading lower. But from my perspective, it's quite clear that the Fed this time around, even though rates are falling, you have to ask yourself, why are they falling this time? This time they're falling because the Fed is trying to front run any kind of economic weakness, right? Before, the interest rates would fall in response to the economic weakness. Now the Fed is cutting in advance because they're trying to prevent it from happening. And again, I do think it will come eventually, but the fact that the Fed is cutting in advance, I think, is going to be fundamentally bullish for the markets. And think about what happened when the Fed cut interest rates last September. The market started rallying after that, right? And further evidence of this idea that the Fed is being preemptive, of course, is in this report. You guys might remember that in the Fed's most recent minutes, they said they would be pausing or slowing quantitative tightening until the resolution of the debt ceiling, which is still ongoing. And that suggests that at next week's Fed meeting, that they will probably signal that again that they're going to either slow or stop QT, which is of course going to be bullish for liquidity and bullish for crypto and risk assets and everything by extension. Of course, this liquidity effect on the crypto market acts with a lag. Some people say it's like 2 months. Some people say it's like whatever it is, 1 month. But the point is that there's a lag there, and of course we have seen a rise in global liquidity over the last couple of months, and many analysts have pointed out that the kind of crash that we're seeing now could be just a response to the decline in liquidity that we saw a couple of months ago. But anyway, in the shorter term here, in terms of specific catalysts that could take the markets higher, one thing to watch is the CPI is going to be released this Wednesday. I do think that whether or not we do get this recovery rally, this relief rally this week, that really depends on the CPI print that comes on Wednesday. Over the next couple of days, we'll probably see a little bit more chop and grind in crypto and stocks. But then come Wednesday, hopefully we will get some good news there, with inflation coming in a little bit lower. That again triggers this relief rally in stocks or in crypto. But absent that, if the CPI doesn't come in well, or it comes in within expectations and it's like a nothing burger or even something bearish, then again we would have to look to the week after, which would of course include like the Fed meeting and stuff like that, which could be the next catalyst to kind of trigger a relief rally. Anyways, guys, if you did make it this far, then I do need to shill the Coin Bureau club here. That's where we cover small cap and mid cap altcoins every single week. The way that we choose those altcoins is we do a weekly altcoin review poll. The way that we pick the altcoins in the poll is based on our research, like altcoins that we find in our research, as well as altcoins that our members find. And then, of course, the altcoin that wins that poll is the one we review. We have a research feed where I'm kind of sharing these types of insights almost every single day, and other members of the Coin Bureau team are sharing their insights as well. We have a team portfolio page where you can see which cryptos we hold, as well as the cryptos that we're considering buying. We have an exclusive deals page where you can find discounts on crypto analytics platforms and stuff like that. And we also have a members Discord where you can ask us questions, and where I'm doing technical analysis on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and select altcoins every single day. And of course, this brings me to today's alpha. It's not really alpha, but it's just something to underscore. I'll just read straight from the tweet. Being one of these YouTubers is just like reading off the screen. The total loss of the Trump family projects World Liberty Financial current portfolio has reached 110 million. The 9 cryptocurrencies purchased with its 336 million funds are now worth about 226 million. So they've basically lost like around 30%. ETH accounts for 65% and is also the asset with the largest loss. The average purchase cost of ETH is $3,240, while the current price is only $2,000. So what does that tell us? That suggests that it's not over. I don't think that Trump's family, and I don't think that Trump is personally accumulating, all this crypto just to have it dump and be at a, whatever it is, a 30% loss or 50% loss, right? Obviously, he's looking to have some pretty sizable returns there. everything is in place for that to happen. The Trump administration is just crawling with like crypto people, right? You even have like the A16Z guy who's like being nominated as CFTC chair. It's like A16Z is like the largest crypto VC firm, right? You have all this like, in my opinion, like clear like conflict of interest, especially when it comes like to these regulations. And of course, but of course, like even with the strategic reserve announcement and everything, everyone's like, well, why isn't it pumping? Again, it does seem to be in the end that it's the macro conditions are bearish, and that's kind of why people are they're not very risk on. They're very risk off. They're trying to take risk off the table. And the question is, what's going to bring back this risk on environment? I think that, in addition to the resolution around this tariff stuff, which is still ongoing, unfortunately, I do think that with the Fed cutting interest rates and stuff like this, that could also bring risk on, and even the rise in liquidity. But again, it takes time for this to feed into the markets. In any case, guys, the key takeaway I should again emphasize is that the crypto market as a whole is still very clearly in a bull market. The reason it doesn't feel like that is probably because you've been holding a lot of altcoins, and I have as well. I'm not saying that, like look at you holding altcoins. I'm also holding a lot of altcoins, and yeah, it's been brutal. This 50%, 60% drawdown over the last 4 months. It's the longest drawdown we've seen again since the 2018 crypto bear market. But again, because the total crypto market is clearly in an uptrend, this suggests that altcoins are lagging rather than that they're going to roll over and keep heading lower. Altcoins all seem to be at the bottom of their respective ranges, whether they're trading in the middle of a range or an up like a higher range or a lower range. All altcoins seem to be trading at the bottom of the range, which is like the most painful level, ideal level for accumulation, not financial advice, but, typically in terms of trading or investing, I've been basically I've been basically accumulating throughout this whole zone here. And I'm not concerned in the slightest. Like I have some altcoins that are, I accumulated some altcoins down here. I accumulated some up there. I've been accumulating some NFTs down here. Like no matter where we are in this, like I accumulated earlier here in January of 2021. So every single time we hit one of these trend lines, I would be accumulating. And of course, some positions are up, some positions are down. Overall, I'm roughly break even, maybe slightly at a loss now. But again, I'm not concerned because we're just chopping. Altcoins are just chopping, and eventually they're going to catch up to the rest of the crypto market, and the whole crypto market is going to again have that explosive growth in those final months. With that cycle peaking probably again, depending on who you ask, over the summer or in the fall. So all you have to do is just hold on to your bags, I guess. Again, not financial advice. That's what I'm doing personally. I'm not worried in the slightest. But of course, it's safe to say that a lot of people are worried. And again, it's just because we've had this 4 months of just basically down-only price action. It's very brutal, but it looks like we're closer to the end than to the beginning of the end. This is something I've been saying now for weeks, and it is true. When sentiment is this low, it doesn't mean that we're starting the end. It means that the end is very close. And I do think that it's, again, assuming this relief rally does materialize, then all this FUD will probably disappear in the next week or two. But we'll have to wait and see if that relief rally does sustain in stocks and in crypto. And of course, that's something I'll do an update on probably next Monday. Anyways, guys, if you did make it this far, then be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, ping that notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.